In Philippians 4:11, the Apostle Paul wrote there, he says, "Not that I speak of want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstance I am." Notice what Paul said there. He said that contentment was not something that comes naturally for us. He said he had to learn to be content. And he learned to be content because he understood the frail nature of all of the possessions that we have here in this earth. Because in the very next verse, in verse 12 of Philippians 4, Paul said, "I know what it's like to have a lot. I know what it's like to have a little." He said, "I had it at one point, and at another point, I didn't have it." He also wrote in 1 Timothy chapter 6, there he says, "Not to place our hope in the uncertainty of riches, but in God who richly supplies all things for us to enjoy." Paul knew that the riches, the possessions of this life were uncertain. They're going to be here today and gone tomorrow. Those are things that we didn't bring into the world. They're things that we can't take out of the world. And so when Paul thought about those things, he learned to be content with whatever he had. Now, I realize that we live in a culture here in the United States that's built on discontentment. We're told that we need the newest car, or we need to have the nicest house, or we need to buy this product in order for us to be happy. And the moment we achieve those things, the moment we get the new car, the moment we get the new house, the moment we buy that new product, we find out that we're still not content. Because contentment is a learned behavior. I remember back a number of years ago, Beth and I were living in an apartment, and she really wanted to live in a house. She wanted to buy a house, and we just couldn't find a house that we could afford or a house that we even liked. And so a few months went by, and I came home from work one day, and I noticed that Beth had put pictures up in the apartment. And I said, "Well, why are you putting these pictures up?" And she said, "Today I was praying, and I thought that if this is what God has given to us, then I just needed to be content." She learned to be content. And here is what I have learned, is that contentment is not the result of external possessions. Contentment is the result of internal priorities. Right? We can have all the possessions, and still there are so many people that have all the things of this world and are still discontent because they are frail in nature. But when our priorities are correct, then we find contentment. So this is an easy way, because contentment really is a spiritual indicator. Just like when we go to the doctor and they take our temperature and they check us out, because they're looking for signs of something deeper. And in the same way, contentment is a sign of something that's going on much deeper in your spiritual life. And the moment that you start to feel discontent, you need to ask yourself, am I putting my hope in my stuff, or am I putting my hope in God? Because the moment we start to begin to put our hope in stuff, the discontentment wells up within us. But when we place our hope squarely on God, then our contentment overwhelms our heart. So as you go through today, as you begin to see contentment bubble up in your life, ask yourself, am I trusting in my stuff, or am I trusting in God?